Hello. Thank you for joining me. It's very, very late. It is Friday evening. We're going to have different guests on, but this news is coming in quite abruptly. It is the verdict of Chris Carbert and Tony Olienick will be delivered any moment now in Alberta. The judge just reminded the people in the courtroom to maintain their composure. I'm being joined now by Shadoe Davis.
Hey, brother. How you doing?
Let's hope.
Oh, have you seen the latest tweet from Kraychik here?
Yeah, but I just explained that he's warned the audience to maintain their composure as the verdict is read.
Yeah.
So we also have Chris Dacey, who's going to be coming in here somewhere. Yeah, let's just pray, guys. Let's all pray for this because there's a lot on this moment.
What's your gut telling you?
I haven't paid the closest attention to this. Always the good host. I haven't paid the best attention to the trial, this one, because I've been so busy with the other ones. It's a little bit of an echo. Is that me or is that you? Or?
I don't know. Let me see. I'll put my headphones on. Maybe that'll fix it.
That might help.
Yeah.
It might be just the studio side of things, but nonetheless, this is so important. So I don't know. I don't know what I think. I know that there's been a lot of stuff mentioned in this. Rob was just going over some of that today. I don't know.
What's the story? Like, a lot of people are asking me what the deal with Pat King is. He's been rearrested?
Yeah, he's been rearrested. He's going to be in jail until his bail hearing next Friday, and that's basically all we can say right now. That's it. So he's in jail. It's his birthday today for a few more hours.
Happy birthday, Pat.
And then August 9th is the I believe the weekend of the big fundraiser that they were going to have. All right, so I don't know where Chris is. He'll be back any minute. And anybody you want to add into this, go ahead and bring them in. Anyone who might be relevant, if reach out to Shadoe or I or Chris on Facebook if you know about the case. If you've been following it, you want to get in here. Here's Chris. He's back. You ready, Chris? Give me a little thumbs up. All right. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
I've got my Facebook open. That could be the problem.
Oh, that could be it. Yeah, if you're having some feedback there.
Maybe that's why there's the echo. I don't know. Because I wasn't paying attention to the live streaming. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing all right. I mean, I thought I was home and in for the evening, and then, like always, the news comes up.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
It's crazy, man. Like none of us really thought. I think Kraychik was even tweeting that he was happy that they weren't going to be coming down with the verdict tonight because it was late at night and he was tired, not at his best. And then I think the next tweet came out, 20 minutes after that, saying, "I spoke too soon." The jury asked for, usually they only go till about 8:30 Mountain with their deliberations, but they asked the judge for an extension, which was granted, and I think they only went for another maybe half hour or 45 minutes, and now we're waiting for the... do you guys know what the procedure is for a verdict to be rendered in a Canadian court like this?
For the jury, I think they're just going to read it charge by charge.
So the jury comes in and they sit down and the foreman steps up like in the movies? I've never seen this before, so I don't know.
That is a good question. I've never seen a jury trial verdict either. I assume that might be happening. They're definitely...
I think what they do is read, right? They're going to read through each charge, and then I think they address them each one individually, like similar to how a judge would in a way, but I mean, it would be the jury answering each charge, I would think. So it would take a bit of time to get through it if there was a number of them too, which will add to this.
Okay, so Carbert has already been found guilty of mischief, correct?
I don't think so. I think what happened is the defense lawyer invited the jury to find him guilty of mischief, and the judge also kind of said you should find him guilty of, because the defense counsel said to. So,
right.
I don't know. And then, of course, the serious charges would be the conspiracy charges. Those are the ones that carry the, I believe, life sentence, which would be a disaster.
No kidding.
Okay.
Life sentence? I mean, that's outrageous. But then again, these are serious charges. This is not just mischief. This is something else altogether, conspiracy to commit murder against peace officers.
I haven't sat in on the court trial, so I don't know how good the Crown did proving their case. If it was anything like the cases out here, then it's a meandering mess. But I don't know. I don't know because I haven't seen the evidence. I haven't sat in court. I have no real feel for it. I know that. Man.
You know, the closing remarks last week, I think Carbert's lawyer admitted to the judge and the jury that her client fell down a rabbit hole of conspiracy theories and that he was a bit out there, but certainly not guilty of a conspiracy to commit murder against RCMP. Like, why would she say something like that in her closing remarks?
I don't know, because maybe it kind of explains some of the things he said or his thinking. That was kind of a rationality for the jury. I don't really know. I wasn't watching the court, so as close as I could have been. Let's try to get some people in.
It could be an appeal to maybe some people that are kind of in the middle, right? Like this person, we're all called all these kinds of things, but maybe it's an appeal to kind of soften it. It's hard to know, I guess. I know, like John, I don't have as much, don't really have any knowledge, real direct knowledge of this case.
Like they were saying, maybe they were going for a temporary insanity thing. He fell down a rabbit hole.
I don't know if that's what they were doing. I think Chris kind of, if I'm guessing, I'm going to go with what Chris said there. But this. Let's just hope that the right verdict comes and that the men get to go home tonight. That would be amazing, right? I would imagine if they're found guilty of mischief or something and not the other stuff, then it's. I don't know. I don't know if they'd be held until their sentence. I don't know if they'd be able to leave tonight. Maybe not tonight, but.
Wouldn't you think that, like, once they're found not guilty, they would just be free to leave?
If it was not guilty of everything, I think, but if they're found guilty of the mischief, then maybe not. I don't know.
But, I mean, they already do have, 900 days? It was 900 days yesterday or the day before, so time served would be definitely an element here, no?
Oh, man, for those mischief charges, if that's the verdict, then you would expect the sentence to be, they'd be done their sentence, I would anticipate.
Yeah, here's the quote from Carbert's lawyer in her closing remarks. She said, "If there was a conspiracy, Chris was not part of it. He was a bit of a wingnut, but there was no plan to kill police." He was a bit of a wingnut? What? Hey, aren't you my lawyer?
Yeah. I mean, what do you think of that, Chris?
I kind of get it, but it's a dangerous game to play. Like, I kind of get the appeal. Like, yeah, he's a bit out there. Like, I mean, this.
Guys, stop! Not guilty of conspiracy to commit murder. Yes!
Oh, wow!
Oh man!
Yes!
Thank God!
Yes!
What a relief!
Yes! Oh,
Okay.
Chris Carbert Anthony Olienick found not guilty of conspiracy to commit murder. Thank the Lord.
Oh.
Thank the
Yeah.
Lord.
Okay,
Thank
so
the
it
Lord.
goes on, though. It goes on.
Go ahead. Take the rest, Shadoe.
Okay, guilty on the charge of unlawful possession of a firearm for a dangerous purpose, guilty of mischief over $5,000. Olienick was also found guilty of unlawful possession of an explosive device.
Praise the Lord. Praise the
yeah.
Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the
That's
Lord.
that's still
Praise
some
the Lord.
serious stuff, but man, that big one.
It's not even close. It's not even close. It's not even close.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys feel the penalty for the charge of unlawful possession of a firearm for a dangerous purpose might be?
It could be serious. I don't know. It could be serious, but it's not a life sentence. It's not conspiracy to commit a murder.
Yeah,
that's how they held them in these remand centers. With this,
Okay.
there was this nefarious intention to go and do this terrible thing and murder these RCMP officers. That's why we have to hold these very dangerous men in the remand for 900 plus days. That was why, not because of dangerous possession of a firearm or mischief or explosive device that I think it was at his home. The justification was a conspiracy to murder, and they're not guilty. So thank God.
Yeah, that's great news, man. That is, I can't even believe. What kind of comments are we seeing here?
I don't know. I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy for these guys because I can't imagine they're going to be spending much longer in jail. They were looking at spending the rest of their life in jail.
Yeah. Mimi is saying they should get credited double time for their time served. I tend to agree.
They'll get I think for the COVID period, there's a policy in correction. They're going to get not automatic double time, but they can make a legal motion. The defense for the sentencing at some point they can make a motion, as I understand, to get double time for COVID period incarceration, and then 1.5 times for the rest of the Wow, of the what do you call pre-trial, pre-verdict sentencing? They're pre-trial stuff. So
if they get double time,
they've got at least 5 years. They've got easily 5 years served.
Well, that's 1,800 days, so that works out to definitely 5 years or just about 5 years.
So the 2 years would only. I'd have to refresh. I know that in Ontario they can make that application. I don't know how it is in Alberta, how that would go. But certainly for COVID period, I believe in some places they were up to double time credit for the pretrial detention, and normally it's at 1.5 days per day. So if they were just to get the 1.5, they would have. Let's see how many years they would have served. 900 times 1.5, 1,350 days credit divided by 365 is it's 3.5 years. So I mean, I 3 years and 3.7 years. I don't see how they're serving any more time in jail.
So we should probably do the verdict again because people are just jumping on now.
Go ahead, Shadoe. Take it away.
Okay. So Robert Kraychik of Rebel News tweeted this out 5 minutes ago. And the reason we're here gathered is for the verdict in the trial of Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick, Olienick, the Coutts 2. The other two guys signed a plea deal, and were released. How long ago was that now, the other guys?
Oh, I don't know. It's been a while.
It's the 6 months. So Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick are found not guilty of conspiracy to murder, guilty on the charge of unlawful possession of a firearm for a dangerous purpose. I don't necessarily agree with that one, but this is the verdict. Guilty of mischief over $5,000. Olienick was also found guilty of unlawful possession of an explosive device. And Glenn, you were saying that was at his house, weren't you?
I thought I heard somewhere from the evidence that this was at his house. That this was a thing he had at his house that he was charged for.
And that he does work that involves work with some type of explosives or there was quite a bit of information that I thought would have. Anyways, I'm surprised at that one a little bit, but
yeah,
I imagine some of this stuff is probably, who knows, about appeals and whatever else. Shadoe, you were commenting on perhaps what the sentences could be for these things. I mean, that they go after people for these firearms things regularly, right? And they try to throw the book at them. They exploit these firearms charges like crazy in this country. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if those things could have like a 5-year sentence type of thing on them. And then generally, say you got 2, would be 10 years. They normally would let you do those all like together at once. So I mean, it's still in the realm of possibility that even with close to a 5 years served concurrently would be time served even in that case. It's hard to say.
It's hard to see how this goes differently. I would imagine that they're going to walk away. I think like they've done their time for whatever these charges are of these ridiculous things that they're found guilty of. The big ones, the things that justified their incarceration and remand for 3 years, was lost. So
what we're seeing here in comments from people who have had experience in these kinds of proceedings is that any guilty verdict at this stage will be time served. That's the overriding that I'm seeing here.
If they were found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and were sentenced to life, then no.
Different, yeah.
I don't know what the maximum penalty. So sorry, what were they? Tell me what they were found guilty against. Sorry, real quickly.
The verdict again for those just joining the show. Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick found not guilty of conspiracy to murder, but guilty on the charge of unlawful possession of a firearm for a dangerous purpose. That's both of them. Guilty of mischief over $5,000 for both of them, and then Tony was also found guilty of unlawful possession of an explosive device.
So the mischief over 5,000 carries a max sentence of 10 years. They're not going to get that. I just know that from the current affairs that we cover here in town.
What would be what have you seen for penalties, Blend? You seen anything?
Well, for the mischief penalties that have come down so far, we've seen like 90 days house arrest.
Really?
That was Jason Vanderweer was sentenced to a conditional sentence of 90 days, 45 days health arrest, 45 days of curfew for mischief. I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it's mischief or mischief over 5,000. We know that the Coutts trio, Marco Van Huigenbos and the rest of them, are coming up on their verdict at some point. I know that was delayed a little bit.
September, that's going to be, yeah.
They were all found guilty on their mischief charges, and they're facing the 10-year wall as well. I don't think they're going to get that. I mean, I don't see how it could be justified for a non-violent crime, for coming in two of their cases. I forget the other two gentlemen. I believe they're also Dutch, but I forget their length of involvement. At least in one of the gentlemen's case was very limited. So,
are you following Marco on X at all? Either one of you guys?
Yes, yes, I am. But it's, again, with all the information I got to keep track. It's a lot, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. We have so much that we have to deal with.
I do. But if I can't send him a link from here because I'm a guest on the show. So if you send him a link on X, he might come on because I think
I'd
he
love
was
to hear from him. I'd love to hear from him.
I think he was down at the courthouse, and Lavigne as well. See if we can get Lavigne in.
I'd love to have them too. You guys can't send the links? Are you sure?
I'm not sure, but
I can probably send a link. I can dip it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just sending them right now. I just sent them to Jason, and I'll try to send them to Marco as well. I'm definitely following him, but this is a great. This was probably the best outcome, I think. It sucks.
it sucks they've been found guilty of anything because they're going to get saddled with records now. But
Catherine, breaking news from Rob Kraychik. Catherine Bayak, Chris Carbert's lawyer, tells the judge that sentencing for the crimes her client has been found guilty of is at or beyond time served and requests a bail hearing as soon as possible. Let's pray that Chris and Tony get to go home to their families as soon as possible. Those men have beyond paid their price. And this was the Trudeau's government justification for the Emergencies Act. This ridiculous photo shoot that they did of these weapons, saying they were planning to overthrow the government. They were doing this. They were insurrection. They were going to commit this atrocious murder conspiracy. That's all down the toilet now. There is no conspiracy to commit murder. They're found innocent of that key point. So what justification does Trudeau, the man-child, have left for the invocation of the Emergencies Act? I'm telling you right now, it was already found by Justice Mosley to be unjustified, but it's even less now. It's even less now. And even though I think he owes these guys an apology. And some money maybe.
Who, Trudeau? You think?
Fucking right.
Well, I think he does too, but good luck getting it.
Yeah,
that is probably one of the most smug people I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it would be nice, but I no way.
No way, exactly. But yeah.
What were you going to say, Chris?
Yeah, I know. I was just saying, even any accountability of any sort, it would be nice, but I'm not going to hold my breath. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What a beautiful day.
Come on.
What a beautiful day, guys! This is such a good news. I had the privilege of speaking to Tony once on the phone in the remand center. He told me a bit about his life and the things that that he was doing to stay engaging with the Bible and keeping his positivity up. And he told me a little bit about himself and about some of the. We didn't really talk about the case, but I was able to talk to him a little bit. And I'm just happy that his mother's going to see him again. I forget her name at the top of my head, but I know that she's an older lady and she hasn't been able to hug him in a few years. Yeah, Betty Olienick, right?
No, sorry, that's Betty Carbert.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Olienick's mother. I'm just trying to write something right now about the Crown. I'm writing breaking news. The Crown has lost all Coutts 4 murder charges. Coutts 2, Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick were found not guilty of conspiracy to commit murder of RCMP.
That's great news. I guess I should probably put something out there too, but people are watching this. Okay, so you guys, you're watching on my Facebook and X. I think, Chris, you're probably broadcasting this too. We know Bright Blend is, so our audience should be fairly large considering it's
we
Friday?
We have 1,054 people watching across all the places.
That's not bad. That's not bad. You guys watching this, share it. Get it out there. People want to know what this verdict is, and we're doing this live right now. We've also invited a couple of other folks to join us. Hopefully they can. They're probably
quite
happy already out having a beer in Lethbridge if they were at the courthouse. I've sent a link to Marco Van Huigenbos, so hopefully he'll join.
Yeah. We'll try to get him on. If we can get Rob Kraychik on, that would be great. I'd love to have him come on.
I'll send him one too.
I know he's got to do his update, man. This is big news. He's worked hard on this story, so all the praise to Rob Kraychik on this. Well, not all, not. There's lots of people covering this. I know there's Jason, there's a Marco, there's Mocha Berzagan. There's a whole group of people who have worked hard covering this case day in and day out. All the pre-trial coverage. They had a huge group of support over there in Lethbridge the whole time, even when they were at the different remand centers. So the Coutts 4 community has really come and rallied around these guys and lifted their spirits up, helped their family. There was so much community around these guys because people can sense if you're a monster or not. And the Canadian people knew that these guys weren't monsters, that they were being painted as. They knew that this was a patsy scheme, that this was a scheme to try and justify Trudeau's power grab. And this. I think that the loss of the murder case here should cause resignations in the Alberta Department Ministry of Justice, in the RCMP in Alberta, National RCMP. I think people should resign over this. I think there should be resignations from the RCMP, from the Ministry of Justice, from the Crown's Attorney's Office for pursuing these ridiculous charges with a case that they couldn't win. And they probably knew it. They knew it on day one. They couldn't win this, so they should resign. I think there should be resignations from across the board here. What do you think?
Well, I think you're right, but sadly, from everything we've seen these past 4 years, things just don't go like that, right? Even if they're caught red-handed, you guys know. I mean, look what's been happening. A lot of people feel like they don't even know that committee is happening in Parliament still, right? They think all of the MPs are off for the summer on the barbecue circuit, but there has been committee after committee after committee going on in the House of Commons in the past few weeks, and they have been finding all kinds of... What did they find yesterday? $24 billion missing from some of the COVID relief funding?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but I'll tell you know what? Maybe your average person on the street's not going to notice, but I'll tell you who will notice. All those beautiful patriots in Lethbridge, Alberta, who came out day after day after day for these men, all the people who covered it, and most of all, these men are going to know it. They're going to know it when they hold their families in a few weeks or a few months, and they're going to know it when they meet their families again and they get to be with their families again. They're going to know it, and that's what really matters to me.
Well, my point, and you're right, but my point is that it just doesn't seem like there's ever any real penalties for some of these things that these people continue to get away with. So I don't think this is going to be any different. I would love if they did, have to resign or were fired and all of that, but I don't know that's going to happen. However, I wonder if these boys can now sue.
I don't think so. As they were found guilty of crimes, I don't believe they're going to be able to sue for unlawful arrest, unlawful confinement, because they're found guilty of some crimes, and the crimes carry a jail sentence around what they served, which is the argument being made in court that they've served. The sentence is this or less, so let them out. Basically, make a bail hearing as soon as possible. This is the best. I think this was probably the best realistic outcome of this situation. The mischief charges have been incredibly easy for the Crown. Like, they don't even have to prove that the person did anything, and they're being found guilty. Like, you were there, therefore you're guilty. That's the running legal theory we're seeing from the Crown on this end of the country. And certainly, with the Coutts trio, we saw some of that logic as well. So...
What has helped Chris? I see in the latest tweet from Kraychik here, he says, as you read this one already, Catherine Bayek, Chris Carbert's lawyer, tells the judge that sentencing for crimes, for the crimes her client has been found guilty of is, quote, at or beyond time served, unquote, and requests a bail hearing as soon as possible. Is this like a monetary thing? I'm wondering.
No, so what that means to me is the lawyer for, I believe that was Carbert's lawyer, right? Is saying to the judge that he's been found guilty of mischief, a firearms offense maybe. I'll have to go through the charges again. But she's making the argument to the judge saying, listen, the sentence of these crimes is less than the time they've served. Let's go get a bail hearing. Then we'll do the sentencing. They'll be out on bail, not in remand, back with their families and friends in the community, and then they'll have their parole or as a probation or parole, and they'll be, they're going to get reunited and get to hold their family. That's a big deal. That should be tonight. I don't know I don't think it will be. I
don't either, but it should be.
But I imagine there's a huge weight lifted off these men's shoulders. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, big time. And I guess, she's getting out and getting that in there as quickly as she can to make it known to the judge. And I mean, so everyone now knows, right? Like, we want this taken care of as soon as possible and get these men out of there into their families, right?
We're being asked for Oh, go ahead, Chris. Sorry, finish off.
Yeah, so just maybe, John, you can help me clarify here. So if they could get a bail hearing, I mean, the sentencing could be farther down the road. They could get probably a bail hearing and then possibly get out if sentencing and all that was going to take place later.
So yes, they could technically get a bail hearing before the sentencing hearing. The sentencing hearing is probably going to be months away. So it sounds like the lawyer is basically making an informal petition, and I'm sure they will file a motion soon to have a bail hearing as soon as possible, basically making the argument on the record in court just now through Rob Kraychik of the Rebels reporting that the sentence for these guilty findings are going to be less than or equal to the time served. So let's have a bail hearing, get them out, because they're not going to do any more jail.
Do you think that, like you said, months away, the sentencing will be months away?
I think that's possible. We see it in the Coutts trio. Like they were found guilty how long ago, and we're still. I know there was a delay for the verdict, maybe waiting on different things, maybe waiting on this. I'm not sure. I can't speak to that, but it's months out. It can be months out.
Why does it? I mean, like these guys know the guidelines of what they're supposed to deliver for a sentence. The judges. So why can't they? Why does it have to be months? That doesn't make any sense.
I think it's just about court time. It's about a lot of different things. They're scheduled a block of time now because, as I understand, because this was a jury trial. Once the proceedings began, like as you're following Chris and Tamara and Pat and stuff, you notice, like especially Chris and Tamara's case, we'll have these big multi-week breaks in between different things. As I understand, that's because it's a judge alone trial. As I understand, when it's a jury trial, once we start with the jury, we go all the way through until the end, and then they immediately start deliberating for their verdict, and they get sequestered as they were, and then they don't leave until they finish rendering their verdict. As we heard in Lethbridge, the average is like it's never gone by 3 days. I think I saw reporting from that. I think Rob said he spoke to a sheriff or something, said it's never been longer than 3 days. So yeah, with a jury hearing, it's concurrent. There's no breaks, and then once the trial ends, as it did a few days ago, like I think it was Wednesday, they're going to reach their verdict immediately. Now, in Pat King's case, the trial is finished, but it's judge alone, and the judge will deliver his verdict on October 4th, which is months away. And there is a reason for that. One is that this was a pretty big trial. It's 14 days, and with a judge, when they make their rulings, like the jury votes, they're giving a charge by the judge, telling them what the basis and the outline of the law is. But when the jury votes, they can vote according to conscience. They can do different things. There's different law, But the bottom line is, whenever they vote, they don't justify it in the law. When the judge makes his verdict or her verdict, they must justify that verdict with the law. So that takes there's a process, and there's quite these decisions can be hundreds of pages long. So
does the jury have any say in what the final sentencing is going to be? Can they recommend? No.
I think in the United States, in some states, and maybe even on the federal level, for example, the jury will first deliberate to issue the verdict, and then they will deliberate concerning the sentencing. I think this is especially true in circumstances or states where there is capital punishment. So the jury will deliberate if the prosecution's seeking a capital punishment. I believe they'll then, after issuing the verdict, say someone's charged with murder, they find them guilty. They'll then deliberate again after, I guess, maybe sentencing submissions or a sentencing hearing or a trial of some sort, and then they'll determine that. But I think in Canada, when our juries deliberate just on the verdict, whereas the judge will issue the sentence by himself. I think I'm pretty confident that's how it works.
How do you guys think the Crown prosecutor, the lead Crown prosecutor, is feeling right about now?
He's a bit defeated. He's defeated. He tried to carry this. Maybe he didn't. I doubt he fully believed in this case, or she. But they carried it through nonetheless. And they know that there's a huge amount of public scrutiny on this case. There's a tremendous public interest. We have 1,300 people watching right now on our across all of our streams. And thank you everybody for watching.
At midnight.
At midnight, yeah. But this was unexpected. So. Shadoe, I think you're good for this. People were asking for a quick recap. Could you give that real quick?
Sure, I can.
You're up.
You're up,
Senators' goal scored by number. All right, I'm the announcer in this. Tonight's prize, Catherine Bayak. So first of all, the verdict. We're getting this from Robert Kraychik on X. Of course, you've seen his reporting on Rebel News. Chris Carbert and Anthony Olienick are found not guilty of conspiracy to murder. Not guilty on charges of conspiracy to commit murder, but guilty on the charge of unlawful possession of a firearm for a dangerous purpose. They both were found guilty of that. Both found guilty of mischief over $5,000, and then Tony Olienick was found guilty of unlawful possession of an explosive device. Do you remember where that device was? Was it in his car? Because I know that Carbert's device was at his home, which was like an hour away from the Coutts site.
We'll have to bring in an expert on this. We're going to have to bring in Dacey and Lavigne. I thought, or Rob Kraychik, I'd love to have them both in. We'll have to bring either of these guys in here to tell us, but I thought I had heard them report that it was at his home, which makes it a bit
one, though?
stranger.
I thought it was Carbert was the one that said that. But that's why Olienick was found guilty.
Olienick is the one who does the gravel excavation stuff. So he either had ownership or operation of a gravel pit, and he would use these devices to break up rock to make gravel. As I understand, right, Chris? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that was my understanding. I mean, we're getting this information.
Okay, so we have this from Diane Townsend, and I believe she's paid quite close attention. She's telling us that the pipe was in back of a sea can on the farm. That's on his farm at his property, Diane? Mr. Olienick's? Let's see if she gets back to us. Yeah, we'd love to. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, just good to have a chat, man. That's useful when there's so many people that have been following this so closely. And
yeah.
So Colleen is saying the device at his father's. So how far would that location be from the Coutts protest? I'm imagining at least 100 kilometers, correct?
I don't know. You know what? These guys in the chat are actually a great resource, Chris. You're right to say that. I mean, Tony's mother's name is Tessie. I forgot that. I was thinking about Betty Carbert, but it's Tessie. That's Tony's mother.
Okay, Chris, just read the private chat. Keep going there. Mr. Shadoe, you got that voice made for radio.
Rob Hellfire is watching us on YouTube right now. The guy's name is Rob Hellfire. I like that name. And Rob says you guys probably talked about it, but what about Pat King? So which one of you guys wants to go over that one? You've been covering that one real good there, Blend.
Sure. I mean, Chris, I want to give Chris just a bit more airtime. Chris, you pretty much have the Coles notes on this. You can.
Chris can talk whenever he wants to talk. All he needs to do is break in.
Yeah, but we got to help him sometimes. We got to help him.
Just push your way in, buddy.
Yeah, I was in bed when I got John. Oh man, we got to go.
It's important.
So we do have an update on Pat, but there's not really a lot we can update. There was a quick appearance in court today, and he's being held. So he turned himself in a couple of days ago. He's being held on alleged breaches of his conditions, and he had the quick appearance today. He'll be back in court next Friday for the bail.
Okay,
so
Chris,
he'll be in custody until then.
Chris, can you reach out to Jason on text, ask him to come join here? Just even for a couple minutes, it'd be great just to hear him. So you can finally, try. Get a hold of that, Mr. Lavigne.
I've got one device as a flash. My second device is a flash right now. Everything's dead.
Everybody's saying happy birthday, Pat King. Well, you know what? Thank you, Pat. Pat King's birthday, man, and we had some justice on his birthday. So praise the Lord, praise everybody. You know, like just what a miracle.
Wow. Okay, so this is what Lavigne puts up on Twitter in terms of the verdict here. Oh, the sentencing/bail hearing is going to be on the 12th of August. So the 12th of this month. What's the date? The 2nd? So 10 days they've got.
It's the 3rd over here now. We just crossed the line, sir, here in the Eastern Zone.
It's still only 11 o'clock here on the prairies.
You love the memes. You know, the Reddit memes where you got the actually.
Yeah. 9 days only. So Anthony Olienick, not guilty, conspiracy to commit murder of police officer, guilty of possession of weapons for dangerous purposes, guilty of mischief over $5,000, guilty of possession of explosives for a dangerous purpose. And Carbert, not guilty of conspiracy to commit murder of police officer, guilty of possession of weapons for dangerous purposes, guilty of mischief over $5,000. And again, August 12th will be their sentencing/bail hearing.
Where are you getting all the particulars of the conviction?
That's on Jason's X account, Jason Lavigne.
Okay, I'm just going to, because people are getting upset at me for omitting that from my Facebook post, so I'm going to put it as a comment, because the big news here is not guilty on conspiracy to commit murder. This was the justification for the Emergencies Act. They're saying that we have this out-of-control situation at our borders, there's a revolution in progress, they're willing to kill police, we need to enact this martial law. And here we have that entire thing just fell apart like a house of cards. We already knew it was garbage and bullshit. Now the courts have told us it's garbage and bullshit.
John, Barb Cameron on X just reposted this live stream that we're doing right now, and the thumbnail on it is the expression on your face in the thumbnail is terrible. You're gonna have to put a new one up.
What, you don't like it? You don't like it? I love that. I love that. I don't want to put a new one. I think that's a good one for now.
All right. You look crazy, man.
It's good. It's good, man. This is good. This is really good. You've been following this every day. You've been reporting on this on the show constantly. This whole lawfare we have in this country. What a sigh of relief to have a little bit of semblance of justice in our country. A little bit of sanity for these friggin' men who have been tortured, living in remand without probiotics, without the needs that they have, just to be living like this, like they're the worst of the worst scum, and to be found not guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, which is the basis of the government's persecution of all of us. It's so tremendous and important.
Lorna says she loves your expression, by the way, in the comments.
I saw that. Thank you. Oh, we got Jason
Thank you,
Lavigne.
Lorna. I was only giving him a hard time.
All right, guys, we got Jason Lavigne to join us, and he's an expert on the Coutts trial, so he can. He's done a great job keeping this. Now, guys, I know some of you guys, whatever, this opinion, that opinion. Listen, tonight, right now, we're all a big family. Okay, we're all a big family right now, and we're all going to be happy for these friggin' men who have been through hell. So we're going to give Jason the floor, and he's going to tell us everything. Thank you, all that he can. Thanks, Jason.
Okay, Jason, I only have one question for you, and that is, when's the party?
The party is going to be on August 12th, and we have a bail hearing, the sentencing, where we can see one of the men and maybe see them out. So the party will be August 12th. You can see that the full version still. It's really dark here in Lethbridge, but there's a lot of happy faces because conspiracy to commit murder, not guilty, both men.
Yeah, that's good. So, Jason, we're going to give you the whole screen here, buddy. Can you tell us really quickly your Coles Note version of what was it like in there? What were people's faces in there when the verdict was read? What happened? Take us through that moment.
Well, at first, when it came out, the verdict was read only first at count one, which was not guilty, conspiracy to commit murder.
Sorry, we're just having a bit of trouble with your audio there, JD.
He might have his thumb on the microphone or something.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're a little muffled.
There might be a lot of live streams happening over there, maybe. Are you on a Bluetooth device?
I am not. So let me
okay, well, we're gonna. This is live, folks. This is raw, so we're just gonna have to deal with this, and we're gonna let Jason do what he can here. We appreciate him coming on and giving us this precious time. I know there's a lot to do right now. The audio isn't great, guys, but we're going to have to put up with it, okay? This is what it is. This is real. This is midnight live reporting from your favorite people in Canada, okay? Let's go.
Well, it's only 10 o'clock in Lethbridge.
You're right. Okay, go ahead, Jason.
Is the audio better for you now?
It's the same, but we'll have to deal with it.
Okay, so Tony Olienick was first, count one, not guilty. We had a bunch of hushes, cries right away. The anticipation was high. And then weapons for dangerous purpose, guilty. And then there was another hush. Unfortunately, Tony's mother wasn't able to make it for that part of it, which is very sad. The court would not wait. And then the next one, mischief, we were expecting a guilty there. And then explosives for a dangerous purpose. We were very sad to hear a guilty there as well for Tony. And then we went over to Chris, not guilty. His mother started crying immediately. And then guilty on weapons for a dangerous purpose. And then mischief, he already directed the jury to find him guilty on that one, so there was no surprise on that one. But the good news is August 12th, sentencing or bail hearing is going to be scheduled as the first available date. The judge did say he's going to try and actually get it sooner than that because there's no reason to deny bail now because the main charge of conspiracy to commit murder is not guilty. So we are expecting at least Chris to come out, possibly Tony, on the 12th.
Beautiful. I really appreciate that update, Jason, and I appreciate your time. I know that this has been quite a process for you. I know that you've spent an enormous amount of time covering this. You've done a very detailed, great job. You must be feeling a lot of different things too, man. Like you've put a lot of time into this. So how are you feeling right now?
I don't know, to be honest with you right now. I'm still a little shocked. I was expecting not guilty on weapons for a dangerous purpose. Because in my opinion, after the jury charges and after watching the evidence, I don't think they were guilty of that one. But it might have been something like there was some sort of dispute in the jury where they just split it because maybe some people wanted guilty on the higher one. But at the end of the day, the most important one is the life sentence, which is not guilty on conspiracy to commit murder. So that's good.
That is good.
So what do you think, Jason, is, I mean, you've got a lot of experience doing this kind of reporting and this kind of work. What do you think? I mean, and I know this is just guesswork, and I'm not going to hold you to this. Nobody will. What do you think their sentences are going to be? Is it already a time served type situation?
Okay, so right now I have Marilyn Burns, who's the attorney for Tony Olienick here.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Miss Burns, for coming on right now.
Yeah. This is Shadoe Davis.
We're gonna put her back in full screen, everybody. All right. You know what? I'll put. Yeah. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
For your first criminal trial, you beat the big one.
Well, it was like being dropped in the middle of the deep end of the ocean.
Absolutely. No, we were all spending some time together waiting for this verdict, and Marilyn spent some time with us as well. And I'm very pleased that we're looking at possibly bail. What is Tony's situation when it comes to bail or sentencing?
Well, in Alberta, bail would be considered based on a formula. And constant and remand is one enough. Tony is also spent some time in all of the time, so that has to be a consideration. And we have to help you.
I can't hear her at all, you guys. I'm sorry.
We're just having a lot of trouble hearing you. Unfortunately, Jason's microphone is cutting out a little bit, but.
Well, let me try and repeat that, because she is very soft-spoken.
I can talk louder.
That would help a little bit.
All right.
She's a quiet talker.
In Alberta, in Canada, time in remand is calculated at time and a half. And he's also spent some time in solitary confinement, so that has to be taken into consideration. So we have to take a look at the number of days that would add up to, and then the sentencing has to happen. That has to happen again, of course, probably August 12th, and then we'll be doing the mathematics.
Now, is he eligible for bail pending sentencing if it's not on the 12th?
Justice LeBrun's addressed that today, and he would rather not do that. He'd rather have that heard on August 12th, or he indicated he could do it sooner if possible.
Wonderful. So he's going to check his schedule, see what the court can do, maybe possibly sooner than August 12th.
Yeah.
So you think that? So sorry, your client again is
Tony.
Tony. All right, perfect. Yes, I actually spoke to him once on the phone from the remand center, so I'm very happy for him. And just to reiterate, you believe that he will be able to be going home soon. You think that he will get a time served sentence, basically.
I think that's realistic, but one can never say. I'm not one to predict.
Right.
I think that is a probability for the problem. At least a possibility.
A possibility, for sure. Yeah, we would hope so. We would really hope so. I think that would be justice if they did get their time served. Thank you so much for everything you've done, and thank you for taking the time to speak to us here. That's very appreciated. I really appreciate it. There's quite a few people watching right now. We have over 1,500 people interested in this at this time. It's a huge story, and I think it's a good day that they're arguably the main thing they lost on the Crown in the conspiracy charge, which,
I never saw the evidence that would support that conviction, which is why we ran the trial. It was supposed to be a 3-week trial, and it ended up being 8 weeks. So it's been a real time commitment for all involved, including our jury members. And they were very thoughtful. We really appreciate them. And I would say also that Justice LeBrun did everything he could to have a fair trial, and I think he did a good job.
Perfect. I think that's about as full as a statement as we can ever get and expect. And I appreciate all your diligent work that you did for your client, Mr. Olienick, and in a larger context for Canadians, because there's a lot. This case had very broad implications, and in many ways, in my opinion, now this is something I know you can't comment on, but in my opinion, I believe it was very instrumental in the invocation of the Emergencies Act. So, thank you so much for everything you've done.
My client would not disagree with you.
Your client, we can't wait to whatever his conditions are. I hope that he's I know he'll one day be able to tell his story, and there will be a lot of people interested to hear what he has to say, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
That's great. That's great.
And I'll see if I can find Catherine. I don't know if she does seem to be here.
Lavigne coming through.
She's already at the bar.
Catherine, can I get a quick interview with you?
It's pretty that's pretty incredible, and kind of speaks to the network and the connections we've made over this time, that in little to no notice we can connect with people across the country and get these things together and provide coverage that really wouldn't be going out otherwise.
Yeah,
we
that's
have
very good.
Chris's lawyer coming here.
Chris's lawyer? Okay, perfect. We'd love to hear from... Oh, hi.
Thanks for nice opportunity.
We're just having a little bit of trouble with Jason's microphone. Unfortunately, his audio quality isn't the greatest. So if you could just speak up a little bit.
Yell.
Yell maybe. Do you have a question for her, Shadoe?
You know what? I was going to ask Marilyn. I'll ask you now. How are you feeling after all of this?
I mean, it's a long process, and it's relieving to get to the right result at the end, at least as it relates to the conspiracy charge.
In the moment that the judge was reading the verdicts, what was Chris's reaction? Was there any, what kind of emotion did he show?
I think it's still sinking in. To be honest, there wasn't, and of course, because it's court, you can't show much emotion in the courtroom. I've spoken to him since the verdict came in, and he's looking very relieved.
Excellent. Yeah.
And do you anticipate that we've asked Marilyn already, and I know this is kind of an unfair question, but if you don't want to answer, don't answer. Do you think that the sentence will be time served today for this conviction for your client?
I'm certainly going to ask for it because I think it's appropriate in the circumstances, but I honestly can't say.
Yeah, I know. It's not fair to have you speculate on these things.
It's absolutely fair to have her speculate on these things. She doesn't have to answer us, and she didn't.
Exactly. So that's a polite way of saying that. And certainly, I think that a reasonable outcome would be time served. That's my opinion. I'm nobody, so I could say that. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I tend to share that opinion as well, and I mean, I'm just like, the emotion for me is a lot. So I can only imagine what it's like for everyone involved there. And I'm just so thankful you're taking a minute to give us a statement here.
Are you satisfied with the verdict entirely? I mean, there were a few guilty verdicts here. Were you disappointed in that a little bit?
Well, we had invited the jury to convict on the mischief because Chris played such an active role in making sure that things were resolved to the blockade once it was up and running, in terms of helping to make sure that this was tracking for him, bringing in parts and things like that. So in terms of the mischief, I had invited the jury to convict on that, and the judge actually directed me. So that wasn't a surprise. I'm still working my way through processing the West.
When you're found guilty of charges like this, how long does this record last? Chris is going to be walking around with this record for quite a while. Is it lifelong?
Oh, in Canada, they're lifelong. You could apply for a criminal record suspension 7 years after the expiration of the sentence. I think that's what the rules are now. I don't see those applications, but it's permanent unless you do something about it.
Okay.
Well, let me just quickly say that there are broader connotations to this case, and I certainly am aware you can't comment on it. Now, this something we put to Marilyn is that, in my opinion, and I believe it to be a rather learned opinion, a large amount of the justification for the invocation of the Emergencies Act on February 14th, 2022 was the Coutts protests, and specifically the arrest of the Coutts Four. So this case has broad political implications, and I know you can't really speak to those, but this is a huge win.
She can nod to them. She can nod like she's nodding.
Being found
good.
To be found not guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, which is, in my opinion, one of the, if not the cornerstone of the invocation, justifying we have these people running around, they're creating mayhem, they're dangerous, they're conspiring to do terrible, heinous things. To have that kind of thrown away by this very thoughtful and considerate jury, as we've heard from Miss Marilyn, I think that's big. I think that's huge. So that's all I'm going to say. I know you can't really comment on that. Appreciate everything you've done, and I wish the very best for Mr. Carbert going forward, and yourself too. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, there you go. It's been 8 long weeks and 2.5 years for these men in remand. Sorry about the audio, but it's on street recording, and I'm relieved because there's going to be a family reunion, I believe, for the Carberts very soon.
So, Jason, before I know you want to get going, but I don't know if we ever got around to this. At the point when the verdict not guilty was read, what was the courtroom like? What was the energy? What happened? The not guilty.
Well, there was a lot of anticipation for the other ones, but there's a relief because that's a life sentence one. That would be not qualifying for bail, even when sentence is coming. So if it was not guilty on the conspiracy to the murder of a police officer, they wouldn't be coming out anytime soon. So there's a lot of relief on that one. I will be honest, there's some shock around the weapons for dangerous purpose stuff, because what's the dangerous purpose when there was no conspiracy to commit murder? So we're a little confused about that.
It's throwing a dog a bone, and maybe in some ways, that's. They're look at this. They didn't do it for nothing. We got to give them some sort of credit. Like they're like, well, their argument sucks, and this is certainly not a murder case, but they had a weapon at some point at some distance from Coutts. I think it wasn't there, right? It was like miles away. Am I correct in that with the weapons?
No, the weapons were in Coutts in the trailer.
Okay.
The main ones were certainly there, but I guess the jury did not believe that they were for hunting. But they definitely did believe the men when it came to whether or not they were going to harm anybody.
Right.
So I think that the jury's message here is, no matter what, there is no place for weapons having a piece of protest in Canada.
Perfect. I still think that this is a good ruling in the sense that, an acquittal would be better, but to be found not guilty of the conspiracy charges is huge, and it's an amazing day. Hello?
So we have Marco Van Huigenbos.
Perfect, Marco. We sent you a link on Twitter. Do you have your phone with you?
I've just been with the family. I just
Fair enough. Fair enough.
For me to get in the right mind to talk to people. Anyway,
perfect, Mister. So you don't have your phone with you at all.
I do. Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. So we've sent you a link on Twitter. Jason's having some pretty severe audio problems here. Oh, how are you doing, Chris?
Chris Lysak.
How are you feeling, buddy? How are you feeling from all this?
Oh, good. He's coming home.
He's coming home.
It's Mr. Lysak here. You see that you're getting everybody here, man. It's great to see you.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, feel free. If Marco. So what I was trying to say is, Jason's phone's having quite a few problems with the audio right now. So I've sent you a link, Marco. If you would like to click that, you can join in the studio here and talk to us for a few minutes. That'd be really appreciated. Actually, here he is right now. So Jason, if you want to stay, you could stay. If you need to go somewhere, that's fine too. Up to you, man.
Go ahead and Marco. I'll hang around.
Okay. So how are you doing, Marco? Thanks for coming on.
Hold on, my audio.
No, your audio is good.
It's better. I imagine there's a lot of cell signals being used around there right now.
We're going to create a new website, getjasonaNewphone.com.
So
I have my mic still, I think, Jason.
So we'll put Marco on the solo because we have so many people in the. You can't hear who? Sorry.
Can't hear you guys. Sorry, I'm just going to my settings. I'm on my phone here. Audio defaults.
So we'll talk to Jason. Jason can relay our questions to you, and then you can talk to us. How's that?
So first and foremost, Mr. Marco, how are you feeling right now?
He's frozen.
Yes, he's so happy. He's frozen space-time.
This close. You were this close.
Do you see that photo, that frozen photo? Now there's two of them on there. Oh, my God, he's got a twin brother.
Here, we'll put him in like this.
There we go. All right. Marco. No,
Okay.
still can't hear it.
I can't hear you guys very well, but I...
Oh,
ahead.
Look,
Rob,
here's Robert.
Rob, take the link. Get in here. Get in here. Click the link I sent you on your phone, buddy.
I just saw Jason. I put two and two together.
Okay, well, get on your phone, buddy. I know you've probably done your hit. Get on your phone. There's a link on Twitter. Get in here.
I put you on. I sent you a link, Robert, so you should be able to click it on your phone.
I'll get my headset to be right in there.
Yeah, thank you. That's thank you, Jason, so much for getting all these people in. This is really really good. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Marco, okay, I guess we have some problems with his device. That's fine. So, how are you feeling right now?
Angry.
Angry. Okay.
901 days.
Yeah.
in the charge that these men are not guilty of.
Yeah.
You know, the bar with mischief was set so low in our proceedings. Guns are guns, and you know, in and of itself, there was nothing illegal with these guns. Details that would get fines or restricted, or maybe a suspension of a firearm license, things like that. The charge that kept them in remand for 901 days. For Tony, some of those days were times 2. At times when he was in proceedings in Lethbridge, he would be in solitary. That would be counted for times 2. Each day would be considered 2 days. But overall, 901 times 1.5. That is what these men have served. And for Tony Olienick, whose mother is 80 plus years old, those 901 days he's never going to get back. Chris Carbert, the man, has lost his father, his brother, and 2 uncles in that time. He also has an aging mother. And it's wrong. It's criminal. It is absolutely criminal that the men and women, I'm part of this, I guess, but, you know, next 2 weeks I hope to go to Ottawa to support Chris Tamara. I hope to see some of you guys there.
We'd love to see you.
That the men and women that, imperfect men and women that made a stand for this country against the oppressors, against the state, are being dragged through the courts, while those who put us Canadians through this, who lied to us, forced medical coercion on us.
Marco, I hate to cut you off in your middle of your thought. What I want to say is, this is beautiful, but Rob, can you say something real quick? Just like one word.
Hi.
Hey, it's Chris. John,
Okay.
I've not seen you guys for a while.
Okay, Rob, your camera is working really well. Can you go over to Marco and play newsman for 1 second?
Actually,
We got to be able to hear him.
I'll have Marco come over to me.
Yes, that'd be perfect.
We're all hanging out in the same spot here.
Because
Hey, that's better.
People really want to
I
see
can't
and hear
hear it.
this. Could you go in landscape real quick, maybe, if that's possible? If you can reorient
No,
it.
upside down is better. I like it like this.
This is not working.
Guys,
It's not
it won't
Okay,
respond to me properly.
perfect. Is it in auto rotate the phone?
Let me switch that now.
No. We want your audio. Jason's audio is needs a bit of work. There we go.
There we go.
Perfect.
I'm going to tell Marco to speak into my headphones.
Whisper,
No, really,
into his
really.
ear,
Whisper
Marco.
into his ear, yes.
Just so the audio is good.
That's
Okay.
just what we need on the show right now.
Marco, could you continue from where you were, please? That was
But
very important.
The problem is Marco can carry. I'll have to relay what you're saying. basically,
Bring Jason
what John
back.
what,
Bring Jason
what John
back.
wants. What John wants is for you to repeat whatever you were saying earlier.
Well, like I said, 901 days that these men will never get back. 901 days. Because it's a conspiracy charge that remanded them. It's a conspiracy charge that put this that gave them the authority to do what they did and to make and justify in the court's eyes their behavior. And that has now been thrown out. And in 10 days, we're going to be facing proceedings where these men will be processed and most likely released. That's the hope. We have to be hopeful.
Yeah.
But they're never going to get this time back. 901 days for Tony Olienick, whose mom is 80 plus years old. 901 days for Chris. He buried. He's seen his father's burial proceedings. His brothers through a microphone, through a camera. He lost a father, 2 uncles. You don't get this time back. It's disgusting. We have a legal system, not a justice system. And I'm quite respectful, but heads need to roll. There has to be accountability. You know, this is more than just COVID accountability. This is more than accountability for the pharmaceutical giants and for the politicians who broke numerous laws. This is a rogue system that has the power to process, to remand innocent Canadians and hold them for 901 days. It's disgusting, and there was a win tonight. It wasn't as large. It was what I expected, but it wasn't as large as I would have liked or as anybody else would have liked in the family. But there has to be an accountability. There has to be accountability for what's happened here. Otherwise, this country that we call Canada, it's broken. It's broken into pieces. And for us to trust our systems again, there has to be full accounting.
What kind of accountability?
Not only in these proceedings, in our proceedings, but in the courts stemming from COVID and beyond.
You're being asked a question. What would accountability look like? What kind of accountability was the question?
A full accounting into the not the laws or the charge, but full accounting into the policing that stemmed out of these protests, multiple prosecutions, and the how politicized our judiciary is. Its independence is gone. There has to be a full restructuring of the institution, of our. I mean, to say exactly on camera what needs to happen, I'd have to get a spot, but there has to be. We have to look into what's happening here. We have to look into Crown prosecutors and the authority they hold, because it's a technicality of the system that's allowing them to do this. It's so unjust, but they're just able to do it based on levers they pull. And unless you're in the system, you don't understand how they're doing this. But they're getting away with stomping on the rights of innocent Canadians. And they're doing it legally, using a system that was designed for justice to protect.
900 days. 900 days in lockup. Are we talking about?
In its form, in relation to criminal behavior.
Are you guys at a bachelorette party? It sounds like there's
just a lot of folks behind us. Guys, give me 1 second. I'm gonna place this camera. My arm is burning from holding the phone for too long.
Okay.
I got shoulders, but not that much. Okay, brother. Here we go. So here we go. That's probably more comfortable. Marco, I just want you to stay close to me so that you can speak into my headphones.
Right.
So did you guys have a question?
Oh, Jason, could you go over to Marco so they can hear you, please? Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Yeah, could you go over to them so they can hear your phone? Yeah, no, it's still the same, but if you could go over there, Jason. Yeah, yeah, perfect. Just so, can you hear us now, Marco?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, we got echoes now. It's terrible.
So Lavigne, you can mute your phone, but
right.
so we could hear what's coming out of your phone, and then you guys can talk into Robert's phone, and we should be good to go.
Okay, yeah, Robert. Yes, here we go. Guys, we're finally fixing this out. Now, hold on, I want to say something. There's people in the comments who said this isn't funny. Guys, we're not laughing because of the abuse of our fellow Canadians. We're not laughing.
It's the situation that we're in right now. Yeah.
You got to have a little bit of humor, folks, or your soul's going to die really, really fast. And this is a really poisonous situation. We need to laugh a little bit. This isn't a big win. You know what? It is a big win. It's a big win that the main pillar of this case is destroyed. The main pillar of the Emergencies Act is destroyed. And it's terrible that the mischief convictions and the weapons commissions and the ordinance convictions, like Marco was saying, there needs to be accountability. I'm on the same page as him. But it is a win in the sense that these guys are going to get to go home finally. Like that's the anticipation, right?
Well, let's ask the boys who were in the courtroom. I mean, what was the reaction of the of the Crown?
Your mic's muted there, Marco. Robert. You got to click the button there. No, we can't hear you. You got to click your button there. You've muted yourself.
Sorry. I can't speak to that. Either Robert or Jason can speak to that because I'm banned from the courtroom because of my Barbara Perry tweet.
Right. Okay, Robert, Jason, what did you pick up from the Crown when the verdict was being read out? Was there deflation? Did they look satisfied?
No, they looked about the same. But they did deny and did not consent to have a bail hearing right away or a sentencing right away. So they actually challenged that portion. There could have been one tonight if they consented to it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I also want to say how full advocate is when the day 9/11 is the day that you're walking out.
All right. So, Jason, do you think there's any probability of the Crown successfully appealing this not guilty verdict on the conspiracy? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's a jury verdict. I don't think there's any grounds. I don't think there's a chance in hell of them getting an appeal on this. What do you think?
No, I don't think they even thought they were going to get the conspiracy. I think they even thought they were going to lose the weapons. So I think they might be surprised. And I think they're going to consider this a win. I know that the media right now is probably saying guilty across the board.
That's why I led my coverage with the not guilty, because I find it to be very important. So, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think the Crown's considering this a win. The way they were flailing at the end, they were kind of cheating at the end of their closing. There's a lot of things we can talk about now that the publication ban's lifted at this stage. So stay tuned. Over the next couple of weeks, there'll be a lot of information that people don't know about. That's going to be coming out. Robert and I have been talking. We've been here the whole time, and there's a lot of pre-trial stuff that we've had to bite our lips on. And you're going to hear a lot from Marco too, because Marco has a great perspective about this stuff. So over the next couple of weeks,
you guys should co-author a book, I think, with all of the stuff that we couldn't hear before the publication ban was lifted.
Everyone.
I know Robert was definitely tweeting a lot about that the last couple of days, so I want to thank you for that, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job to all of you guys. And Marco, dude, I hope that things go well for you at your sentencing next month.
We all hope so.
Yeah.
That's September. It's not over yet. There's still a few fights, but that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you for taking time to do it.
The boys in the East, are you guys getting tired? It's past midnight out there in Ottawa.
No, man, this is beautiful. I'm glad to be a part of it. It's the least I could do to share this victory with you guys, and I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I also want to say this is the first time that we saw lots of mainstream media there, so they came for the verdict.
They wanted they didn't get what they wanted. They wanted the conspiracy. They wanted to be able to say God King Trudeau was right, and now they have to go and he's not right. You know, they have to say, well.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Did you, Jason? Did you say mainstream media? Because you know.
Oh, Mark's media, corporate media. You got it.
Gentlemen,
left-wing corporate media.
Thanks for having me on.
Okay.
I really appreciate the opportunity.
And thanks.
To go.
Perfect. Anything else you'd like to say before you go, quickly, Marco?
Obviously, thanks for all the support for these men, for these families. Chris Carbert has become like a brother to me, and as much as you're leading the charge as the defendant, but it's always great to have support. And knowing the amount of support and the amount of people that have focused in on the Coutts prosecutions as a whole, but specifically the Coutts 4 and Coutts 2, it's encouraging and it's necessary, because this is not the end. This is not the end for them. It's not the end for us. In some ways, this is more of an end for them than where we currently are, because they've done their time, whereas some of us need to do their time. And it's important to know that there are like-minded individuals across this country that are still fighting for what is right and for the integrity of the nation, essentially, because that's why we stood up. That's why Tamara Lich and Chris Barber and everybody else associated with Freedom Convoy did what they did, and that's why Coutts, Windsor, Bastard Ridge, in solidarity, not associated with the Freedom Convoy, but in solidarity with Freedom Convoy, did what they did. And that message, governments, conservative governments of today, eventually federally, they want to forget about this, but we can never forget about this, because the minute we forget about this, we're bound to repeat the mistakes of the past. So anyways, I have to run. Thanks a lot, and I hope to meet all of you guys.
Yes, I hope to see you. I hope to see you. If you're going to be here for Tamara and Chris, I'll definitely see you if you're here in Ottawa for that. Thank you so much, man. Have a beautiful night. God bless you, and all the prayers for you.
Thanks,
guys. Can I get a quick word in?
Yeah, go ahead. We want to hear what you have to say too, man. Let us know what you're thinking of all this.
Good to see you, Rob.
Jason and Marco covered it. There's no need for me to add these guys. These guys got it covered.
You've got a perspective, man. No, throw in there. Get in there.
I really just want to say I can't wait to see John, you, and Chris in Ottawa again, because it's been a long time. Just to see you guys is actually quite sweet for me. It's just like I almost forgot you guys existed for a second. I'm like, holy guys, I got back on. And I don't mean it in a bad way. It just shows you how distant I've been. It's a long ways away.
It's gonna be nice to see you, man.
Totally. We'll go for some good food. It's going to be a good time. I want to give you just the short version. This has probably already been said, but just keep in mind that the basis of the denial of bail. So these two guys have been in remand in police custody in difficult conditions, to put it lightly, since February 14th of 2022. That's like 900 days. And again, the basis of that denial was that they were charged with this very severe crime, conspiracy to murder, specifically alleged to conspire to murder police officers at the Coutts protest and blockade. But now that they've been found not guilty of that, how does that change the circumstances? We'll see. Catherine Bayak requested a bail hearing to be scheduled immediately, because she stated just after the jurors were excused from the courtroom after they read their verdicts that the time that her client, Chris Carbert, had already been in remand amounted to whatever sentence her client may receive on the basis of the two guilty convictions that he received for the charge of unlawful possession of a firearm for a dangerous purpose and mischief over $5,000. So we'll see how that plays out. I think maybe I'm a sort of silver lining kind of guy.
Honk,
These-
honk.
These guys really dodged a bullet. I mean, can you imagine what the potential consequences would have been? Now, lastly,
Wait, watch your language here, Rob. We don't want to give them any more ideas.
Yeah, lastly, so remember that the judge has a pretty great broad range of discretion in terms of issuing the sentence. And I'm sure Jason will agree with me because we've talked about this outside of the courtroom. The impression that we get of him, given what we've seen him say, what we've heard him say, the questions he's asked, the types of things he's allowed and disallowed in terms of voir dire competitions over evidentiary disputes, he's not convinced of this storyline that these guys are bloodthirsty killers who want to go on this terrorist rampage and murder a bunch of police officers and law enforcement. He's not down with that. He's not persuaded by the storyline. So if our inferences, the ones that Jason and I share of Justice David Lorenz are accurate, and they are because we're not morons. Jason and I are pretty sharp. This judge is not going to throw the book at these guys. He's a reasonable guy. He's a fair guy. And I think that's a blessing that will show itself even further as this continues to unfold.
Hope so, man. Fingers are crossed for that one. You're muted there, Glenn. John?
Oh, have I been muted this whole time?
No, just
classic. I'm going to say we're going to hold you to that there, Rob. And when the truck honked, I went honk, honk, honk. Nobody heard that.
Not
All right.
not a beep.
Oh, well.
I'd like to add a couple things here. I do agree with Rob that this justice was a good one, and I'm glad that he's going to be the one deciding on the sentencing portion of this, because it felt like he wanted to let him go now, but the arguments were ready, and the fellows did not consent to it.
Not hearing you, Jason. We're not. Yeah, it sounds just garbled.
That's not the greatest.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
A little bit better, yeah. Anyway, the louder the better, my friend. The louder the better.
Well, I'm going to jump over to Rob's camera. How about that?
Okay.
Just speak into my headphones.
Just one of you mute there. We got quite the echo. There we go.
There
Yeah.
we go. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk because we can't hear you right now. But what I was about to say there was the two most touching moments was when Dacey Olienick walked in, and unfortunately the court did not wait for her, so she did miss the verdict for Tony. But in the hallway after, Betty Carbert asked everybody to just give her a moment. She thanked everybody for their support, how much she appreciated it. 901 days she's been waiting for this news for her son, and first thing she really wanted to do was thank everybody else that was supporting her and her son for this. So it was a very touching moment. And I understand now arrangements are being made for Chris's son to make his way from BC out here to be here for the 12th. And I do want to highlight, it's possible that it can happen sooner. The Justice Lorenz did say he's going to attempt to try and get a sooner date. And that tells me he does believe at least one of them will be walking out very soon. So my heart is full for that. And I'm really thankful that Betty had the support she did have, along with Essie and all the people behind the scenes that were there for them, family, friends, and strangers. That courtroom was full of people that loved these men.
And God bless everybody in Lethbridge who's been coming out to this from day one. It's a beautiful thing to see all that support, and it's been a long time, many hundreds of days in jail for these people coming day after day, never losing hope. I want to mention Granny McKay. I want to mention everybody because again, everyone in their own way came together to do what they could, and everyone didn't always agree, but tonight there's a victory. In the sense that these guys are not going to be in prison for life, and they're very likely going to have time served. That's a very realistic expectation. It's not a guaranteed expectation, but it's very realistic. So let's, I think we owe everybody a shout out and a thanks for all the hard work that everybody did in their own ways. Jason, you've covered this very diligently. We've had Mocha Berzergan, who is there doing the interviews with everybody outside the courthouse. We've had Rob there for the duration of the trial, which is very good to have that high level outlook on things, that he's got a really specific and good way of thinking about things. It's very useful to have that, and to have all these different voices come in. Marco with his consistent, being there when he can, supporting, even though he's going through his own tremendous adversity. This is an amazing, what this is, folks? This is the Canada that I grew up in. This is the Canada I was born in, every day in that Lethbridge courthouse, coming to support those guys, believing in those guys, praying for them. And we still have a country here, folks. We still have a country tonight. Our country's alive and well. Maybe not.
No,
maybe
no.
it's not well, but it's alive.
alive.
And
Still
it's got
got
a
a
hell of
pulse.
it's got a hell of a fighting spirit, and it's been through a lot. And we can get through this to greener pastures. We can get through this, folks. That's what I think.
Well said, my friend. Very well said.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, go ahead.
One more little comment there. I think we have to stop saying independent media because this is not independent anymore. We've come to become a community. We all work together. We all share the screen. There's no egos here anymore, and I'm really very proud of the coverage that we were able to do because Marxist corporate media was not here doing a good job. So at least Canada has something to take a look at, and I will be releasing all 38 episodes of everything that included the publication ban items that we couldn't release. So I'll be putting this into the public domain.
That's great.
Perfect. Shadoe, Chris, you got anything you want to say to these gentlemen?
I just want to say thank you both for your incredible coverage. I've been following you as closely as I can as I cover everything on my show, and I'm just so happy that you guys were able to summarize the daily proceedings every single day to keep us all up to date. I have shared your work on my show, and I want to thank you for that. We all try to keep as many Canadians as we can informed on these important things, and I just want to thank you for being there on the ground. I know, Rob, you've been there a long time, and it must be surreal to know, wow, I guess I can go home now.
We miss you, brother.
It's mixed. It's kind of weird because I almost am a little bit feeling this anticipatory sadness of departure because I've actually come to like my life in Lethbridge in a lot of ways. I very much like the people. I've made good friends. There's this like structured routine. There obviously are a lot of challenges. It's not my home. I'm moving to Airbnb. I'm not going to complain. There are challenges. There are rewards. It's weird, and I'll be home before I know it. And all good things come to an end. That's how it is in terms of the work project I'm in.
Yeah.
And I'm actually the opposite. I can't wait to get home, get back to my kids and my wife. Go back to my little trailers and just little cookout.
Perfect. Thank you guys for all your hard work. And if anybody in the comments or anywhere else has Granny's contact information and would like to send her, I'd like to hear what she has to say. I'd like to get her on. I know maybe, everything else notwithstanding, I'd love to hear what she has to say if she would like to. I've extended that to her in messages. She might be busy. So I'd like to hear anyone's opinion who's been involved in this. They're welcome to come on. We have a pretty open stream right now, and I'd like to give them that opportunity. But it is getting kind of late. I recognize that Chris probably needs to be going. I don't know about Shadoe.
Maybe I'll just say I do need to get going, but I don't have a job, but I got to work tomorrow. I don't know how to stop work. I want to just maybe echo Shadoe's sentiments there, and the work you guys done, Jason. We talk regularly, but for us in Ottawa, we're kind of in a vacuum here. And if it wasn't for the work and the news coming that you guys put out, we really wouldn't be able to be as informed or know nearly as much about this. And on a personal note, Rob, we miss you here. It'll be good to see you. There's a few spicy things going on that we can talk about if you want when you come back to, so you can get ready.
I can't wait, man. I'll be back there in no time.
Yeah, right on, Rob. Good to see you, man. Okay,
so
on that note, I'm gonna dip out, guys. It was thank you for having me tonight.
Me too, guys. Thank you for having me. It's great being in the middle of the country. I can connect east and west all the time. It's kind of fun that way.
If this is going to be the end of the show, because I don't know if we're going to be able to get Granny on. I'm anticipating we're not. Would you guys mind to sit through O Canada with me?
Sure.
Do we have to stand up? I'm not wearing any pants.
See, that's the traditional. Guys, I think God bless the Coutts 4, God bless the Coutts 2, God bless Coutts 3, Coutts Trio, God bless all the convoy accused and everyone who stood up for our rights and freedoms at great personal cost, years and years of sacrifice. And whether they know it or not, the nation owes you all a debt of gratitude for your sacrifice, and thank you. And no better way to end this historic stream tonight than with our, I think, pretty beautiful anthem. So without further ado, have a good night. God bless our country. God bless you. Have a good night.